Hi, my name is Phil Colcord, President of Fraternal Order Police Evergreen Lodge 1 here in Silverdale, Washington. And this is our outreach show. Today's guest speakers are Jeff
Menge,
the Chief of the Patrol Division, and Penelope Sapp, she's the Chief of the Jail Division. And this is a follow-up show. They were both on here earlier, a couple years ago, I think, and talked about what was going on in their department, and they're back here today. Thank you for being here. It's good to have you both.
Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
This is, like I said, it's an update show. And last time, the main topics of the Sheriff's Office was staffing, chemical dependency, and mental health. And you both had a unique set of problems to deal with those with the personnel, the jail staff, and with the patrol staff. I'll start with you, Penny. Staffing, how are you doing on staffing right now?
We're doing actually really well in staffing. I think last time we were here, we were down quite a few officers. We had a lot retire a few years back, but I'm happy to say now we only have 3 openings that are budgeted. That doesn't mean that we have enough staff. We are still a little understaffed, but that we're not budgeted for more positions. But we're doing well with our recruitment and retention, and we're sitting pretty as far as budgeted positions.
That's good.
Absolutely.
A lot better than you were last time.
Yes,
Great.
for sure.
How about you, Jeff?
Well, our staffing numbers in terms of budgeted positions are doing well. The problem that we have is that it's taking a year plus, almost sometimes up to 18 months to get anyone trained so that they can be on solo patrol. And so that's what we're struggling with. So we may be budgeted and have most of our positions filled, but it takes a year and a half to get them on solo patrol. So currently I think we have 5 or 6 in training of the budgeted positions. So we're really down still those 5 or 6 positions. And that's a constant struggle that we will always have, is that one person retires or finds another job. It takes us a year to replace that person. So if we have 4 retirements in 1 year, we're down 4 positions. So that's the struggle that I think, that's just part of the constant struggle since I've been there all 20 years. But that creates issues when we have so many new hires and so many people in training that we're just constantly down these, really at this point, 6 to 10 positions constantly. So.
And you also have to wait sometimes for the academy to have openings, don't you?
Yeah, that's a real struggle. We've gotten lucky kind of getting in from some open spots here and there, but sometimes it's 6 months to get somebody into the academy. So because of the competition for hiring, we have to hire them and then find something for them to do. Otherwise, they'll be snatched up by another agency.
Yeah, I can see that. On that, I'll go back to you for a minute, Penny. On the other side of that staffing deal, are you getting people that you can keep, or are you have a revolving door for some of them?
Oh no, actually the ones that come in, they're here for the career. I mean, that's not to say that some of them might not move on to patrol, and we've had a few, like in the last couple of months, 4 of them have gone to work on patrol, and we're happy about that. But that's just advancing professional growth. So it's not like, I mean, if you're going to invest in corrections or law enforcement for that matter, it's a long process to go through the background and then to the academy and what have you, and the training. So it's not something that you just go and say, I don't like this job, and then quit. So we've been doing that. But people have been moving more to patrol, which is exciting for us to see our family members grow.
And how about you? You have many leaving, or decide it's not for them after they come aboard?
Not to a significant degree. There's always a few people that, life circumstances, they have a spouse that transfers that's in the Navy. They have to go get a job somewhere else. But we've been able to retain most of the ones that we've hired. Some people don't work out during the field training portion, and that's also part of the deal, but not to a.
And you're doing lateral and entry level, right?
Yes, we're always opening our doors to qualified quality laterals. That's kind of a great scenario because they don't have to go to the academy, they don't have to wait. So the turnaround for training is much quicker. But that market is pretty slim with all the competition for hiring. throughout the state. It's quite a horse race to get laterals on board, and we've been successful to a degree. But boy, we're always looking for more.
Okay, good. Okay, chemical dependency, Penny. How's that going right now?
It's not getting any better. In fact, it's getting worse. We are now sitting at about 85% of the people that come into our facility test positive for fentanyl. It's out of control, and they're sicker as far as medical and medical issues. They're untreated mental health and what have you. So we have a lot of challenges with that, and we continue to pivot as far as needing more medical staff, more corrections officers to deal with this, because now it's turned into a hospital. So it's not getting better. We have some great reentry programs, and we're trying to help individuals, but it's still being a challenge. And it's funny because we have some nurses that come from out of state, that we have traveling nurses, and they're from Detroit or California, and there's jails that are 3 or 4 times our size, and they are surprised about the number of people that we have on fentanyl in our smaller jail compared to the ones that they're working at. So that's very telling to us in Kitsap and Washington State, for that matter, that it's such a terrible pandemic or epidemic.
That's true. It's not something you want to have. It's
No.
What about on patrol? Chemical dependency out there in the street.
Well, and the only way they get to the jail is through us. So we're obviously dealing with them initially, and it's the struggle that we're having is that all of the calls for service that involve those are taking so much more time. If they do have, like you said, they're much sicker. We usually have to get them cleared at the hospital. That takes a significant amount of time. So we're tying up deputies on a fairly simple case for us for much longer periods of time. The mental health codependent, or what's the
Co-occurring.
Co-occurring, thank you. I couldn't remember the word. The co-occurring with mental health problems. Again, then we're taking them to the hospital to get cleared, or an involuntary treatment if it's that severe for mental health. But as we all know, the hospital is really struggling to keep up with the population in Kitsap County with the new hospital. And so those wait times are just off the charts, to be honest. And they're doing everything they can, but within the closing of the Naval Hospital and the addition of additional ships coming in to port, that problem is getting worse. It seems like every month. And so that's really, when we talk about staffing, it's not just the number of deputies that we have, it's how long they have to do on a particular detail.
Yeah.
And then that's what, fentanyl is really killing us in that regard.
Yeah, I can understand that. And the problem you have too is I interview a lot of people, and that one thing that they all say is that the people that are addicted, they offer them help, but they turn it down all the time. But when they're ready to accept it, which they've come to a point where they're ready to accept it, we have to have a place for them, because tomorrow they may not want to accept it again. We need to get them into a place.
Absolutely.
And the problem is it's not available at times when they want it a lot of times. Isn't that correct?
That's very correct.
Yeah, very correct. We're doing everything that we can to partner with, we have some amazing community partners with Kitsap Mental Health and the Heart Team and the Real Team that can get some of these people, if there is an available spot, into that kind of treatment. And we've had some remarkable success stories of this kind of constant asking and constant pressure, especially with our community resource officer, who deals with primarily with the homeless situation. He comes up with 3 or 4 really great success stories a year, which are fantastic, but it takes effort. And it's really with our community partners that we're having any success. Without them, we couldn't do it.
And every one of them is overburdened and understaffed, and don't have the resources available to them that they need to assist you in a lot of places.
Correct.
Yeah, and from what I hear talking to everybody, it's all over the place, and I haven't found anybody that knows the solution yet to it. Okay, just touch on mental health, up or down as far as...
I think it's about the same as it was. I mean, my reentry team, they see over 500 individuals that are in the jail. They do outreach for them, and 98% of the individuals that they provide resources to have co-occurring disorders. So it's both the mental health and the substance use.
Yeah.
It's getting them the treatment, and like you mentioned, there's so many services are overburdened that it's hard to keep up. I think the pandemic had a lot to do with that, and now that everyone's just trying to catch up. And then I think, the healthcare profession itself has taken a hard hit since the pandemic. It's hard to find individuals that want to do that profession or the money. I mean, being a traveling nurse or an MHP pays far more than it would if you were stationed somewhere. So
Yeah. It's a bad situation. Okay. What are some of the challenges that face the jail today, including what we talked about? If you want to elaborate on?
the biggest thing is the fentanyl crisis, and having individuals come in that are far sicker than we've ever seen before. I mean, it's not just mental health now; it's medical issues, and trying to deal with that. Now we've got, like I said, a hospital, and yes, we might be almost fully staffed, but we're never fully staffed because we need more positions. We're turning into a hospital that's almost like one-on-one care. So that's the biggest challenge. Right now, the jail's going through some wonderful renovations. It's a 24/7 facility. It's old. The newest part of the jail was built in 2002, but if you calculate that times 3 at 24/7, it's 60 years old, and it's got some wear and tear. So we're getting a new HVAC system and a camera upgrade, but there's a lot going on in the jail on top of running a regular business, and it is challenging, but the officers take it with stride and change as we go, as our population changes. So.
What about with patrol?
Well, I think our biggest challenge, even if we were get up to full staffing that we're budgeted for, we're still one of the bottom 3 staffed sheriff's offices in the state. And the state of Washington is the lowest per capita of law enforcement in the entire nation. So kind of puts things in perspective. So that's always going to be a struggle, as we always ask for new positions. And the problem is that as our budget remains relatively static, because county income remains relatively static, the cost of what we need for our operations keeps going way up dramatically. And I did a calculation the other day of the roughly 65 people that we have assigned working shifts on the road. 50 of them have under 5 years of experience. So what we have to be able to do during this time is really 2 things: is train and coach and teach and mentor properly, and prevent burnout. Because they've worked under lower staffing levels for the last few years. At 5 years and 5 to 8 years, you've been on the job. That's when you start to feel some of the effects of a little bit of burnout. You get a little tired. And so we have to constantly monitor that, make sure we're properly training them, make sure we're taking care of them at the same time. And that's a lot of pressure on our sergeants and our first line supervisors to have that constant attention to both their skill sets and their mental and physical health.
Yep. And after 5 years or so, they also some of them go through this no fear, which you need to, you want to be safe out there, you fear. You be fearful, but you be careful and you do your job.
Yep, and that just comes through training and education.
Yeah, so continuous training is the best.
Right, and that takes hours, and then that takes people off the road with the train, or we have to do it on overtime, which is a cost, or takes away from their off time. So it's a constant struggle, and it's a constant balance. But having said that, we have hired some amazing people in the last 5 years, and that's really what I think is saving us, is the quality that we're getting.
I know a lot of the deputies that I met. I thought, wow, this is really good. I mean, you got good, educated, down to earth people that
who want to do the job, and they came into it at a time when that wasn't easy. Sometimes to say that you were entering this profession, so it's a real pleasure to be part of their team.
No, I'm good. I mean, I'm good with that. I think that's great. back even when cocaine and meth when meth first came out, but even before meth with cocaine, the ones that got addicted to it, even if they came into it with a sound mind, became mentally ill. You know, paranoia steps in and different thinking because of the paranoia, because of the drugs. And so with this fentanyl being that, you know, as high as it is, I'm sure the mental health has increased substantially too, you know. So it really burdens you more so because you got both to deal with. I feel for you guys that are out there. I know how difficult it was before, and I can imagine how bad it is now. What makes Kitsap County Sheriff's Office a progressive agency?
Oh, I could go on and on about this. I'm really proud of our sheriff's office. From the jail perspective, we're not afraid to take a chance, and that's usually on some kind of grant-funded program. We've got a very robust reentry program for individuals that are incarcerated. And there's a lot of jails that are still struggling to get that or even be open to the idea of having reentry services. We are going into our 8th year of having the medication opioid use disorder program, which helps individuals that are addicted to opioids get medicated and so that they don't get released and start using drugs. And that's been a huge success. And while other jails are just learning how to do it and now forced to do it, we've been doing it for so long that it comes natural. And jails look upon us for advice on how it's been successful. I think just having that great relationship with patrol and the culture, and you know that from the jail side, we're not isolated, we're not siloed, we're part of the family. A lot of jails don't have that likeness or what have you. So we're very fortunate.
Good.
Yeah. I think in general, I think it's just the collaborative aspect of what we have fostered within the Kitsap County Sheriff's Office from the top down. I kind of view the word progressive and advancing the ball, so to speak, as really leveraging those community partnerships, and that's I think where we are kind of setting the standard. You know, I mentioned some of those previously with dealing with some of the homeless outreach, drug outreach, mental health outreach. But you know, we have all of our staff meeting with all of our community partners almost monthly. I think I have 4 different monthly meetings just on Kitsap mental health or some portion of the mental health alone. But even more than that, we're you know, leveraging partnerships with, you know, the local tribes. We have an existing MOU with the Suquamish tribe, and we're working on finalizing one with the Port Gamble-Sklallam tribe. So I think just leveraging those community partnerships, getting the input from the hospital and what they might need, getting the input from Kitsap Mental Health, getting the input from the county agencies such as the Heart Team. It's really the only way we can survive. I mean, we've always been really good about collaborating with other law enforcement agencies in the county. Kitsap County is kind of unique. The municipal agencies and the sheriff's office get along phenomenally well and meet regularly on countless topics. But we really work hard at maintaining that. And I think those are where the great ideas moving forward come. And so some of those come from our community partners and fellow law enforcement agencies. Some come from us. We collaborate and we get it done. So I think that's just the general tone that I've been a part of since I got here 20 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And also the fire departments, all the agencies seem to have come together to unite to try to do something to help with this problem. I think we need more services for intake of patients and for outpatients than we have, and they need to work it out, whether a federal grant or what, they need to get that. And that comes a collaboration too with all the different organizations, outreach programs.
Yeah, and I can kind of give an example of the different partnerships that occur just in one particular arena, which is the outreach for mental health. So at one point we had an idea of having a co-responder in our car. The fire department had an idea of having a CARES program, and we looked at that and operated under that for a couple years and realized actually the CARES program and concentrating without having a co-responder actually worked better. And now the CARES program has exploded,
doing well.
and the fire department is doing amazing stuff in taking those mental health and medical services to the patients at their homes and out in the community, rather than tying up the hospital for unnecessary things. And so we're constantly in discussion about, how best to fill in those gaps of services. And it's in that sense, we actually gave up part of our idea of having a co-responder in the car with us because it just worked better to have it that way. That can't occur unless you're having those constant discussions and identifying those gaps with all of your community partners. So that collaboration, just in that regard, has really seen an explosion.
I can see where that would be really good and helpful.
Fantastic.
Hey, you guys are going to educate me now, but I'm old school. I don't do the initials very well. So I got a couple of questions to ask you. First off, what is CIC? I'm probably going to feel stupid when you tell me the answer, but
That's Crisis Intervention Coordinator.
what is it?
Crisis Intervention Coordinator.
Crisis Intervention Coordinator.
It's
Oh, okay.
Deputy position.
That actually she writes the grant for and runs the program. So it's an example of the collaboration here. And then that person works under the patrol division, and he is the person currently assigned to it is fantastic. And he basically filters all of the mental health reports and then does outreach, because there is a component that law enforcement is really the only one that can respond to certain scenarios.
Right.
Most notably when they're really dangerous. But we have the ability to put somebody in an involuntary treatment evaluation under the ITA Act. So that's his job, is to identify those high utilizers of our resources and go out into the community, make positive contact, and see if there's something we can do more, and if needed, take enforcement action.
CRO.
Community Resource Officer. So,
Okay. And go ahead and say a little bit about
So that was a one-person position, and that really was an outreach. A lot of community events, runs our Citizens on Patrol volunteer program, which basically does the work of about 3 or 4 deputies at least. We expanded that by adding a second community resource officer to address the homeless issues and be the funnel point. So we took the calls for service that were spread across the patrol division, focused it on one person so that the rest of the patrol didn't have to coordinate resources and all that kind of stuff, which was impossible to do spread over 15 different people.
I agree.
And made it much more efficient. And that person now works, like I said, with the Heart team and the Real team and Kitsap Mental Health, and is doing outreach and occasionally enforcement, which is still necessary throughout Kitsap County. But we've seen the results in the complete reduction of homelessness. Not the elimination, but it's a reduction.
We're getting down to the wire, so anything that you guys would like to get out to the public that we haven't covered, go for it.
Well, I'm excited to say that the jail in probably the middle of October is going to introduce 2 new furry officers to the jail. We just added 2 officers to our canine team. It's the first time we've ever had dogs in the facility. They're going to be narcotics detection canines. The officers are going to training September 9th, and they'll go to a 6-week training course and come back with 2 of our new 4-legged officers, and we're all excited about it. Not only for having them there to detect drugs, which does become an issue. It's not a secret that we've had a few overdoses in the facility. People sneak in fentanyl, they use it, they overdose, and thankfully we've been able to reverse those. But the dogs will be able to key into the fentanyl that'll be in the jail if it does get past us, and that's important because we want to keep the individuals that are incarcerated safe. But just having the animals there will also be an additional benefit and help lower the stress level of the staff that work in the jail day in and day out and have to endure such a stressful job. So we're really excited about that.
One other thing.
Yeah.
Reentry programs. Tell me a little bit about that real quick.
Well, that's primarily in the jail. We are huge supporters of the reentry program because then we don't have to deal with them as much if that's
So
successful.
reentry is you're talking about going back,
Yeah,
getting out of jail.
yes. When they get out, they have a case plan, a release plan, and they're already connected with services. So we help them with travel vouchers, cell phones, whatever, food, whatever they need, kind of meeting those basic needs, but getting them connected into services. You know, last year we had a 58% success rate with the individuals that were engaged in our reentry services, which means that 58% of the people did not come back to the jail. And we're excited about that because we want to, the people that are addicted to fentanyl, it's not a choice. I mean, maybe that first time it was, but it's a hard addiction, and they need help getting through it. So
I found with drugs, no one wants to get hooked on drugs. They don't plan on getting hooked on drugs. They just want to feel good.
Right.
And they always, it's not going to happen to me syndrome they go through until it's too late. And then they need help to get off of it. And as the drugs keep getting stronger like they are, they can't do it by themselves.
they're getting deadly.
I want to tell you that on behalf of Fraternal Order Police and everyone I know in the county, we appreciate the job that you're doing and keep up the good work. And you're positive and you got the right attitude and you're moving forward in a really slow war that you can't move any faster. And if you could, I know you would.
Thanks.
So thank you both for
Thank you.
coming. It was good having you. Hang on while I say goodbye to our public.
Sounds
okay?
good.
That concludes our show. You can watch it on cable TV, and also the website will have it up. If you go to our website here, you can go to links and they'll have all the different shows that are available on outreach programs. I thank you for watching, and I hope you all stay safe out there. And if you need help, there is help available. Contact someone professional that can help you or with a loved one that might have problems. Thank you, and goodbye.